The last guitar chord faded, and 8 serious musicians watched as Johnny Depp was told that Pretty Boys Can't Play Real Blues by a legendary session player who had backed B.B. King for 20 years. West Hollywood, January 1993. Sunset Sound Music Store occupies a converted warehouse on Sunset Boulevard where authentic musicians seek vintage instruments that carry decades of musical history rather than factory-fresh equipment designed for commercial appeal. This isn't a celebrity shopping destination with glossy displays. It's a working musician's sanctuary where instrument quality matters more than brand recognition and musical credibility commands respect over entertainment industry status. The store embodies genuine music culture, worn wooden floors that have absorbed vibrations from countless amplifiers, walls lined with guitars that survived decades of professional use, listening stations where serious players evaluate tone quality and technical craftsmanship rather than visual aesthetics or celebrity endorsements that drive commercial instrument sales. Johnny Depp, 29 years old, moves through vintage guitar collection with genuine appreciation for craftsmanship and musical heritage that represents artistic authenticity rather than commercial success. His careful handling reflecting respect for instruments that serve generations of musicians whose dedication to craft extends beyond entertainment industry rewards. His recent musical projects include collaboration with various artists whose credibility spans decades of professional recording and touring. But his entertainment industry success creates assumptions about musical motivations that most working musicians view with skepticism rather than automatic respect for artistic legitimacy. These instruments have incredible history, Johnny observes, noting the authentic wear patterns and aging characteristics that indicate years of professional use rather than artificial distressing designed to simulate vintage appeal for collectors who value appearance over musical functionality. Different kind of music legacy than we usually encounter in Hollywood studios, he continues, recognizing the parallel between authentic musical heritage and commercial music production that prioritizes technical perfection over emotional authenticity and cultural tradition that defines genuine blues expression. His visit begins with curiosity about vintage instrument culture that operates independently of entertainment industry commercial considerations, seeking authentic musical equipment that serves artistic expression rather than image enhancement or celebrity lifestyle branding opportunities that reduce musical instruments to fashion accessories. Sunset Sound attracts professional musicians whose instrument choices reflect serious commitment to musical authenticity rather than fashion statements, working players who evaluate equipment based on tone quality, playability, and historical significance rather than celebrity endorsement or commercial popularity that often determines mainstream instrument market. The clientele includes session players whose livelihood depends on instrument reliability and tonal characteristics that enhance recording quality, touring musicians whose equipment must survive rigorous performance schedules, and blues enthusiasts whose cultural knowledge informs appreciation for vintage instruments that carry authentic musical heritage. Most actors who come here want guitars that look impressive in photos, explains Carlos Martinez, a session bassist whose own musical career encompasses decades of recording with established artists. They focus on visual appeal rather than understanding tone quality and musical functionality that defines professional-grade instruments. As Johnny's visit progresses, he demonstrates respectful engagement with musical heritage and instrument craftsmanship, recognizing authenticity that extends beyond his current knowledge while avoiding consumer behavior that treats musical equipment like lifestyle accessories rather than professional tools requiring serious evaluation. The store's atmosphere reflects serious musical commitment, customers testing amplifiers at volumes that reveal tonal characteristics, musicians discussing technical specifications that affect performance quality, sales staff whose knowledge comes from personal playing experience rather than commercial training designed to maximize sales revenue.
Vintage guitar section occupies premium floor space where instruments represent significant financial investments for working musicians whose career success depends on equipment reliability and tonal quality that can't be assessed through casual examination or commercial marketing materials that emphasize visual appeal over functional characteristics. Behind the vintage guitar section, Tommy "Tum Blue Thunder" Washington examines a 1959 Gibson ES-335 that represents his potential investment in professional equipment upgrade. Washington embodies authentic blues tradition, 62 years old, 45 years of professional playing experience, session work with legendary artists who defined American blues tradition through authentic cultural expression. Washington represents genuine musical authority, technical mastery earned through decades of live performance and studio recording, cultural knowledge developed through direct experience with blues masters, artistic integrity that prioritizes musical authenticity over commercial success or entertainment industry recognition that often compromises creative expression for market appeal.
He observes Johnny's interaction with vintage instruments with practiced assessment earned through distinguishing genuine musical interest from celebrity tourism that treats blues culture like fashion trend, rather than understanding cultural heritage and artistic discipline that authentic blues expression requires from serious practitioners. Washington's own musical journey includes backup work for B.B. King, Muddy Waters, and John Lee Hooker, artists whose influence shaped American music culture through authentic expression rather than commercial calculation, musicians whose credibility was earned through lived experience rather than entertainment industry promotion that often substitutes marketing for musical substance. His professional experience spans recording sessions where technical precision serves emotional expression, live performances where audience connection depends on authentic feeling rather than technical display, and mentorship relationships where cultural knowledge transfers between generations of blues practitioners who maintain traditional standards. As Johnny examines various guitars and discusses musical projects with store staff, Washington evaluates his technical knowledge and cultural understanding of blues tradition that extends beyond guitar technique toward emotional authenticity and cultural respect that most entertainment industry musicians never develop despite technical competency. The evaluation process reflects blues community standards, where musical credibility depends on understanding cultural context, emotional depth, and respectful engagement with tradition, rather than technical ability alone or commercial success that might demonstrate marketing effectiveness without proving authentic musical expression. That's when Johnny's interaction with store personnel reveals enthusiasm about musical projects that blend blues influences with contemporary sounds, his confidence reflecting entertainment industry encouragement rather than blues community validation that requires different standards for musical authenticity and cultural respect. "I'm working on some blues-influenced tracks that incorporate different musical elements," Johnny explains to store staff, his tone showing excitement about creative projects. "Looking for authentic vintage instruments that can provide the real blues sound for recording sessions with established musicians." Washington immediately recognizes problematic assumptions about blues authenticity that suggest vintage equipment automatically provides real blues sound, rather than understanding that authentic blues expression requires cultural knowledge, emotional depth, and technical mastery that can't be purchased through expensive instruments or commercial musical education. The evaluation process reflects blues community standards where musical credibility depends on understanding cultural context, emotional depth, and respectful engagement with tradition, rather than technical ability alone or commercial success that might demonstrate marketing effectiveness without proving authentic musical expression. His description includes references to recording studio sessions, collaboration with established artists, and musical projects that demonstrate technical ability while revealing limited understanding of blues culture as lived experience, rather than musical style that can be adopted through equipment purchases and professional instruction. 6 seconds pass as Washington processes Johnny's approach to blues music and apparent lack of understanding about cultural authenticity versus technical ability,
recognizing patterns from previous encounters with entertainment industry musicians whose blues interest often serves career development rather than cultural respect or authentic engagement. Pretty boys can't play real blues, Washington declares with devastating precision, earned through distinguishing authentic blues expression from entertainment industry appropriation that treats cultural tradition like musical style choice, rather than understanding blues as expression of specific cultural experience and emotional authenticity developed through lived experience. His declaration exposes fundamental critique of celebrity musical dabbling that assumes talent and expensive equipment automatically provide access to cultural traditions that require lifetime commitment, cultural understanding, and emotional authenticity that can't be developed through commercial musical training or entertainment industry success that operates according to different standards. The declaration resonates throughout the store as other musicians recognize articulation of values that distinguish authentic cultural expression from commercial appropriation, understanding that blues tradition demands respect for cultural heritage rather than treating musical influences like creative resources available for artistic exploitation. Other musicians in the store respond with recognition of Washington's authority and appreciation for direct challenge to celebrity assumptions about musical authenticity, understanding that blues tradition demands respect for cultural heritage rather than treating musical influences like creative resources that serve individual artistic development. Johnny's face shows immediate defensive reaction as his musical confidence encounters criticism from expert whose blues authority can't be questioned through entertainment industry success or commercial musical achievement that operates according to different standards than authentic blues culture that prioritizes cultural respect over technical ability. The silence that follows carries weight of cultural authenticity versus commercial appropriation, highlighting differences between entertainment industry musical development and blues tradition that requires different relationship with cultural heritage and artistic expression than most celebrities understand or respect. But before Johnny can respond with arguments about his musical ability or defend his blues interest through previous projects and collaborations, he recognizes the legitimacy of Washington's expertise and cultural authority that demands respectful engagement rather than defensive celebrity positioning that might compound cultural insensitivity. "Mr. Washington," Johnny says respectfully, his voice carrying genuine recognition of musical authority rather than wounded celebrity pride, "you're absolutely right about Pretty Boys and blues authenticity. Can you help me understand what I'm missing about real blues expression versus technical ability?" Washington's expression shifts appreciatively at Johnny's immediate acknowledgement of cultural expertise and willingness to accept criticism rather than defending entertainment industry musical credentials that don't automatically translate to blues community respect or cultural understanding that requires different development path. Johnny continues with growing humility. "When you say Pretty Boys can't play real blues, are you addressing my appearance, my cultural background, or my approach to blues music that might not respect the tradition properly?" The question demonstrates Johnny's recognition that blues authenticity involves more than musical technique, requiring cultural knowledge and emotional depth that entertainment industry training doesn't necessarily provide, despite technical competency and commercial musical achievement that might demonstrate marketing effectiveness without proving cultural understanding. Washington recognizes Johnny's revised approach and genuine interest in learning about blues culture rather than defending celebrity musical involvement that might appropriate cultural tradition without understanding cultural context and emotional authenticity that defines genuine blues expression through lived experience. Over following hours, Washington shares perspective about blues tradition, cultural heritage, and the relationship between lived experience and authentic musical expression, helping Johnny understand blues authenticity as cultural practice rather than musical technique that can be learned through equipment and instruction alone. He explains how blues emerged from specific cultural experience that can't be replicated through study or equipment, how authentic expression requires requires emotional depth that comes from lived experience rather than technical training, how cultural respect involves understanding tradition rather than appropriating musical elements for individual artistic development. The store observes with growing respect as celebrity musician demonstrates genuine willingness to learn from blues masters whose expertise demands recognition regardless of entertainment industry success or commercial musical achievement that operates according to different authenticity standards than blues culture maintains. Customer interactions become more respectful as Johnny demonstrates authentic interest in cultural learning rather than equipment acquisition, his revised behavior earning gradual acceptance from musicians initially suspicious of celebrity motivations and cultural understanding that typically serves individual development rather than community respect. Years later, Johnny speaks about Sunset Sound as educational about musical authenticity, cultural respect, and artistic humility that requires acknowledging expertise beyond his current knowledge while maintaining commitment to respectful learning rather than cultural appropriation that serves career development without respecting cultural heritage. Washington occasionally references that afternoon as example of how celebrity musical interest can develop into genuine appreciation when famous musicians choose learning over assumption and cultural respect over appropriation that treats musical traditions like creative resources rather than understanding cultural heritage that requires respectful engagement.